Hello! Welcome to another episode of Gems, the podcast where you get all the tools you need for your epic glow up. Relax, whip up a delicious treat, and let's talk. Hi! It's been a couple weeks, and I did not mean to be MIA for those 2 to 3 weeks, but now that I'm here, happy holidays! Personally, a lot of things have been going on also because of the holiday season. But now that we are back on track, let's go to today's topic. Anybody who is close to me for a certain amount of time can attest to my competitive nature. And this can be a good thing or a bad thing. A lot of my successes have been attributed to my competitive nature. I always want to have the best quality of work, want to be the best at doing this and that. But also, it has some negative effects in my life. I always have this thing in my head where I think that I don't have to be the best. I know I won't be the best, but as long as I am the best at what I am passionate about compared to the other people in the room, then I'm all good. But I don't feel good if I am not. In the beginning of my study abroad in Japan, I had to take a placement exam so that the school could place me in the proper class. Now, during this time, I wasn't necessarily a know-nothing, starting from zero kind of beginner. I had a couple semesters under my belt, but I still couldn't ignore the fact that, yes, my Japanese sucked, especially compared to a lot of my peers who were very, very good at Japanese. So I and the people around me didn't really expect me to place very high on the exam. So I took the exam, got the results, and I was pleasantly surprised to find that I was placed in a class that was higher than I expected. And so this thing inside of me awakened where I was like, oh, if I could place higher this time round, I bet I could work hard to get placed higher the next semester. So I did as much as I can to grow in the language and use the language. And I did end up speaking much better than when I started in the program. Come second semester, I took the placement exam and placed much higher again than I expected. Except this time, there was somebody else who did the same thing I did. For the sake of hiding this person's identity, let's call him Diego. So the deal with Diego was he started in the same level as I did, took the placement exam, placed in the same level as I did the first semester, and then had the same idea I did, and then took the second placement exam like I did, and then placed in the same level like I was. So now I have the spotlight to share. And at that time, I thought Diego had to go down. And actually, Diego and I didn't talk at all outside of class. He and I are in completely different circles, so we don't interact with each other. But I'm pretty sure, I am 100% certain that he feels the same way as I did. That because, we were always compared with one another. We were always sharing the spotlight, even to the point where at the very end of our class, because we were actually placed in the same class. So at the very end of the semester, we had a speech contest and we both got first place, tied. And I still remember how I felt during that time because that was one of the times when I felt super competitive where I wanted the spot all to myself because if I didn't, I would probably feel upset. But I also failed to appreciate the fact that I have improved so much. I was so focused on Diego that I didn't get to appreciate what I've gained, what I've had, what I have built over the time that I was there. And I'm telling you this story because I believe that this, like what I was going through, this is kind of like a smaller version of what we as a society at large are going through at the moment. We believe that we are at this race where we just have to get this and that compared to everyone else and fail to appreciate what we already have, which is making us unhappy. So, this is the last reason that we are going through for this series. This may be why you are unhappy. You were deep in this illusion of competition. This is our outline for today. First, we're going to talk about two major fallacies that build upon this illusion of competition. After that, we are going to talk about two ways you can focus to get out of this competitive mindset. And then after that, we are going to have your questions for the week. There are two major fallacies that build up on this illusion of competition, and that is false expectations and false identity. Our society has made a lot of advancements compared to the past, but it has also built up a lot of false expectations that we have right now. And this stems from a variety of factors. Our education system is one of them. This is the typical flow for an average kid in a developed society. So in the beginning, you spend time with your parents, but then come 3 to 5 years old, you go to nursery and kindergarten, but then come 6 years old all the way even up to postgraduate level, you are in this system where you learn that the better grades you get, the more successful you are. However, everybody has unique ways of learning things, and you are stuck with this one size fits all kind of learning environment. And so we are forced to believe as a society that we are supposed to fit our unique shapes. That doesn't mean that unique means wrong. We are supposed to fit our unique shapes into this one standard shape. For some people, it may fit perfectly. Some may fit just a tad bit, but it's kind of off. And then for other people, it just completely doesn't fit at all. And so what we're forced to do is that we look at how our shape fits into the standard, and then we compare ourselves to other people. And that's where it begins. We compare, and then we rank ourselves, and then we begin to make assumptions about everything and ourselves and what people expect us to do. The education system is just one factor, but the false expectations are in many other parts of our life. They are in our romantic relationships and our marriages. We notice other people having partners while we don't. And if we have a partner, we see everybody else who's happy and we think to ourselves, oh man, I think I picked wrong. And then we begin to assess and compare and assess and compare. But the truth is, a relationship doesn't make you happy. A marriage doesn't make you happy. A happy relationship makes you happy, and a happy marriage makes you happy. But in order to get that happy marriage and happy relationship, you would have to do a lot of work. And it's not just one single formula that fits for everybody else. You would have to do a lot of major reflecting, a lot of fixing your personality, a lot of things that maybe others don't need to focus as much. Others may have to fix their lifestyle, and others may have to fix something else about themselves. But the thing is, everybody has different things to work with, and it's not just this one size fits all kind of reason or shape or standard or whatever it is. Just because someone has a partner at age 22 doesn't mean they're more successful than you who doesn't have a partner right now at age 32. In fact, you may be better off than they are. The grass is always greener on the other side. And no, the good fish aren't going to be taken the older you get. I was scrolling on TikTok and found this reel the other day about this guy saying something like, when we meet, I ask you what your job is so that I can decide how much respect I should give you. And this sounds so savage, but I thought to myself, well, this is actually true. This is what we do. It's so harsh, but it's so true. And you know what? In order to meet these false expectations, we end up making false identities. And this is the second fallacy that builds up this whole illusion of competition. It is false identity. Do you notice how whenever we meet someone new, we always introduce ourselves either like through our occupation, or conversely, that person introduces themselves as what they're doing or their career. We try to meet false expectations by placing our identities on things that could change at any moment. And this isn't very good, because once they're gone or once they change, you have nowhere to place your identity on, and it's all gone and crumbling down. Like I said earlier, we place our identity on things like our career. Like you hear somebody say, oh, I'm a Marine. Oh, I'm so-and-so CEO of this and that company. And I'm not trying to come across as rude or mean, but you won't be saying that if, let's say, you get into an accident during deployment or while you're doing something on the job, or your company gets bankrupt and you're no longer doing what you were doing before. What do you call yourself then? Another thing we place our identity on is our appearance. The other day, I went to Nordstrom Rack and I saw this really cute vest that had like this huge markdown. So I put it in the cart. Come checkout time, my dad kind of notices that there was this one piece that was charged for $138. So we asked the cashier, why is there something so expensive in our purchase? The cashier pulls out the vest, and we were both shocked because it didn't even look like it was $138, to be fair. And I asked, so like I couldn't help but ask, why? Why does it cost that much? And the cashier says, actually, that's just the marked down price. The original price of this vest is over $400. And people actually want to buy, they come in the store to buy this particular vest because of the name brand. And I thought to myself, girl, there are better vests at Uniqlo. Literally, it feels better. It feels better. It looks better. And it's for literally a fraction of the price. I don't need to buy $138 or $400 to prove to everyone else who probably doesn't even care that I matter. Another example is those people who were said to have pillow faces. These women, a lot of these women, in order to look more beautiful, they would spend tons of money for Botox shots. And then they notice another imperfection, and then they get another shot, to the point where to other people, while they were trying to get their shape to fit into this false shape, by changing their identity, they end up doing the opposite thing and getting pillow faces. I actually had, it's not Botox, but I actually had a similar experience where I had a microblading experience. I just wanted better brows because these brows are, well, close to nothing in my opinion. But I digress. I got microbladed and it actually ended up being worse. It looked absolutely terrible. And I actually had to go into an interview with like these big whatever feral things on top of my forehead, and just to have a better appearance. Apart from that, we place our identities on other things like our, again, romantic relationships, how much money we have, our social media stats, like how much likes and views we have in our platform. Those things will change, because if you don't have your money anymore, what else are you going to cling to if that was what you were clinging to in the past? You have to find it somewhere else. Now, we have talked about the two fallacies that I think build up this whole illusion of competition. So now what? What are the solutions to not fall into this negative competition mindset? Set clear goals and know what they are, aka this is also your purpose. If you cannot answer this question, then your direction is not clear enough. What is my mission while I'm still alive? Having clear goals and a clear purpose, and knowing for sure, even with the back of your hand, what they are, will help reduce your need for external validation. You will be too focused on what you have that you won't even pay attention to what other people are doing or have, because it's like that Black Friday sale where everybody is busting in the doors to try to get that one sweater. Let's say it's a sweater. I don't know, maybe for you it's like this flat screen TV, but let's say sweater, and everybody else is trying to get that sweater, but you already have one, and you know that it's better quality. So you're not even in a rush. You're not in that whole chaos or fiasco, because you know what you have. And yes, goals change. Goals do change, but you always need to have a clear direction in mind. And if you think that you don't have that clear direction, then your top priority right now is to find what that direction is. Now, the other solution to this problem: take time to get to know yourself. One of the greatest philosophers to have walked this earth, Socrates, you really should listen to him when he says to know thyself is the beginning of wisdom, because it is true. Once you know more about yourself, you know more about your boundaries, you know more clearly about your goals. It's the solution to a lot of our problems. I'm not saying that it's easy to do so, but it's important to do so. Our society is such a me-centric society, yet what the ironic thing is, a lot of us haven't or don't take the time to get to know us. But if you know yourself, you would be less inclined to compete with that other person who is in a completely different life direction than you are. The more you know yourself, the more you'll learn how to love yourself. And the more you know yourself, the less competitive you are towards others, the less you have that competitive mindset. But if you're not sure if you know yourself completely, then let me give you some questions to help you out. And this will be your questions for the week. Do you know your boundaries for relationships, for work, and for other parts of your life? Have you tried to analyze the triggers that make you unhappy? Have you taken the time to figure out your good and bad points? Are you aware of the difference between how others see you and how you see yourself? I hope hope you've enjoyed this episode of Gems Gems. If you like this episode or this podcast in general, then don't forget to rate, comment, like, subscribe, whatever it is you need to do to support this podcast. And until the next episode, just keep being a better you. I will see you next time. Bye.